Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Cedric here in Antwerp with yet another brew review, and today we are gonna have the last one of our Malt Brothers beers, and I know that I often say this is gonna be special, but this really is. Why? Because this is not labeled. I have a vague idea of what's in here. I couldn't tell you details whatsoever. The only thing that I know is that this is an Imperial Stout. Why do I know this? Because the brewer told me. So I visited the brewery last summer, and upon leaving, I had a fantastic talk, by the way, with this brewer who is extremely passionate about his business, about his craft. But upon leaving, I bought pretty much every beer they had, and I gave some to friends, I drank some, of course, and then I reviewed some on this channel. But they also had an Imperial Stout, and I remember kind of liking it, but they didn't have that for sale, or at least not yet. They still had to bottle it. Now, he was actually bottling that day, so when we got into the car, when we went home or back to the camping site, he came after us and he gave me and my mate Koen one of these bottles each, so he quickly bottled this Imperial Stout for us to try out, and all this time it's been waiting for me in the cellar. So it is time to dive in, and I purposefully kept this for last. Now this is very, very active, large bubbles. I hope you can hear that on this microphone. Ooh. That is really very active. Now, to talk about the color, this is all we need. Or I could say the lack of color, because this is pitch black. This is blacker than motor oil. Yeah, it is not as thick as motor oil. Now it does stick to the sides a bit, so that means there is some leftover sugar, but it is not syrupy, it's not thick. This color is still pitch black. There's no light coming through. This could have been a black hole. And then that foam, yeah. We don't call this beige anymore. This is brown. This is like a latte or chocolate milk. Looks really, really nice. I might be pushing it a bit here. Ooh, and that smell is also very chocolatey. Slight bit of coffee, but mainly chocolate and coconut. Now, I do not recall for the life of me if he used coconut in this. I don't think so. Because he was very, very peculiar on malt usage. Of course, they are called Malt Brothers. But I don't recall him using any more aromas or infusions or anything like that. He might have used cocoa nibs, but we'll have to find out. Yeah, when it settles down, we get all those roasty aromas from that roasted malt, of course. So we have chocolate, a tiny hint of coconut, and a lot of roasted malt. Okay, let's dive right in. Cheers. That is definitely coconutty. But very well balanced. So first off, it does come across as thicker than it looks. Very pleasant mouthfeel, absolutely beautiful. And what makes it so pleasant is that it is thick, but it's not syrupy, it's not sugary. It is just that, just thick. And yeah, just like in the scent, first off we get a bit of chocolate that is immediately taken over by coconut, and then the malt kicks in. So we are on a roller coaster from thick to sweet to coconutty, fruity, and then it falls back to roasty and even slightly sour, because that is the thing that roasted malt has. That does add a bit of sourness if you use a lot of it, and believe you me, they use a lot of it. So absolutely, again, beautiful try. Now, I have no idea how I scored this in the past, but I do know that he quickly bottled these 2 bottles for us, because I was disappointed that they didn't sell it on site at the time. And beer is a very easy product to make friends over. Quod erat demonstrandum. So I'm so glad that he gave me this bottle, because this is very reminiscent of that trip. And it is a place and a time and a feeling that I absolutely miss. So I am very eager to go back to that region. Yeah, I think that to balance out all these outspoken, strong flavors, that takes patience and time and several iterations and a love for your craft, because my God, does this take energy. And honestly, I have no idea about the ABV on this one, but if I would have to guess, and I'm a very bad guesser, but I would say around 10%. Yeah, 10, 11-ish. And I think that this is very misleading. I think that it tastes less than it actually holds. And that is why I think it's a 10, maybe 11%, because it doesn't really feel like that. But of course, after these roasted malts and that coconutty, chocolatey flavor, underneath is a lot of room to hide that alcohol content. Yeah, downright lovely. Unfortunately, I did not find this beer on their website or their web shop. So technically this doesn't even exist. And I sincerely hope that this is not an experiment that got shut down, because this is an extremely decent stout. There, I said it. So, despite me not exactly being the biggest stout fan, and I mean that literally, like up until like 6 years ago, I hated stouts and I celebrated St. Patrick's Day on cider. But I've come to appreciate it, just like Lambic and Gus. So I am inclined to give this probably a 375 going on 4, depending on how I'm finishing this bottle. Yeah, this is like a sundae in a glass. The words Dame Blanche come to mind. Yeah, somewhere around that, 375, 4 maybe. So, that all being said, thank you guys so much for watching again. If you like this video, leave a comment down below, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever I upload something. And if you want to get in touch with me, either for a collaboration or for a visit in Antwerp or whatever, I also do lectures and tastings and whatever. You'll find my credentials down in the description, or just email me at cheers@belgianbeerbrothers.com and we'll see what we can do for you. Until the next video, cheers everyone.